Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we present you 50 beautiful retro historical photos. We hope you will appreciate our work. Write your comment and click the subscribe button. Enjoy the show, and here we go. Uschi Glas, German film actress, 1966. Circa 1906. Entrance, NYC. HRR Station, Albany, New York. The Beaux-Arts Depot of the New York Central Hudson River Railroad, also known as Albany Union Station. November 28, 1940. Ledyard, Connecticut. The family of Mr. Timothy Levy Crouch, a Rogerian Quaker, at their annual Thanksgiving Day dinner. A 20-pound turkey was dispensed with in short order. April 1941. Family of Lemuel Smith, Farm Security Administration borrower, sang grace at the afternoon meal. Carroll County, Georgia. April 1941. Mrs. Lemuel Smith still has some canned goods left over from the winter. Carroll County, Georgia. April 1941. Mr. and Mrs. Lemuel Smith and their younger children in their farmhouse, Carroll County, Georgia. January 1941. Andover, Massachusetts. One of the sons of Anthony Fergetta, Italian vegetable farmer, feeding the horse after coming home from school. Mr. Fergetta and a daughter work at the mills nearby. January 1941. New Bedford, Massachusetts. Bringing home some salvaged firewood in a slum area. October 1940. Harvesting potatoes with a single-row tractor-drawn digger on a farm near Caribou, Maine. Indianapolis, circa 1906. Masonic Temple, Washington Street, Capitol Avenue. San Francisco, 1920. Standard 8 touring car. March 1941. A traveling sideshow. Crime museum, consisting of dilapidated effigies of famous criminals run by an old, shell-shocked World War veteran. Near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. March 1941. Effigies of George Washington, Joe Louis, and some criminal in a traveling sideshow crime museum. Washington and Joe Louis are examples of what you may become if you go straight. Near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. August 1940. Street in Coaldale, Pennsylvania. March 1941. Car advertising crime museum traveling sideshow near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Washington, D.C., circa 1912. Unidentified group. December 1940. Christmas trees for sale at the market. Providence, Rhode Island. American actress Farrah Fawcett, 1970. March 1941. Construction worker from Fort Bragg. He lives in this homemade bunkhouse in Manchester, North Carolina. August 1940. Old houses on Ray Street in Mauch Chunk, Pennsylvania. My sister and brother in a 1949 photo on 2nd Avenue in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Not many years later, at 16, I demolished this Buick. And please take notes if you'd like to demolish a Buick. Skidding on wet streetcar tracks, too much speed might have been involved, and nailing a brick porch next door to Sacred Heart Convent on 6th Avenue. August 9th, 1947. San Francisco. For Dairy Van Borden's cottage cheese. New York circa 1918. 5th Avenue and Grand Army Plaza, north towards Central Park. Detroit circa 1908. Woodward Avenue looking north from Opera House Corner. April 1941. South Side Chicago. Scene in Negro Tavern. The walls adorned with murals from the Disney version of Snow White. November 1940. Pool Hall in Shasta County, California. Recreation for the workers and engineers building the Shasta Dam across the Sacramento River. March 1941. Part of the exhibit of the Traveling Show Crime Museum near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. June 1941. Main Street of Siloam, Greene County, Georgia. May 1941. Soldiers from a nearby army camp waiting for the bus in Anniston, Alabama. April 1941. Chicago. Children playing next to condemned building in the Black Belt, Negro section on the south side. June 1941. The VD Clinic in Union Point, Greene County, Georgia. September 1954. Marilyn Monroe performing Latin dance number Heat Wave in the movie musical There's No Business Like Show Business. May 1938. Carnival employee sleeping in hammock underneath wagon of Lass's White Show. Sikeston, Missouri. California, circa 1912. On the Trail. A supposedly fun thing I'll never do again. The prequel. May 1938. Sikeston, Missouri. Erecting tent for Lass's White Show. Lass's being Lee, Molasses, White, 1888 to 1949, minstrel show impresario as well as star of radio, stage. American actress Linda Carter, 1970. February 1942. Harlingen, Texas. Farm Security Administration Camp. Morning routine at nursery school. October 1937. Used tires Minot, North Dakota. May 1938. Member of Carnival crew at work erecting tent for Lass's White Traveling Show. Sikeston, Missouri. July 1938. Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. The Clifford Shorts family at dinner. Mr. Shorts is a roller at the Jones Laughlin Steel Mill. June 30th, 1893. Waiting for the train, girl and boy in railroad depot, map of Ohio on wall. October 1940. Lunch hour at one of the farms of the Woodman Potato Company. All of the pickers and field laborers eat in this converted tool house, 11 miles north of Caribou, Maine. October 1940. Mr. Thomas Festa, Italian FSA client with his horse on his farm 2 miles out of Newtown, Connecticut. September 1940. Mrs. Garland and her little boy. Family lives in the submarginal farm area of Rumsey Hill, near Erin, New York. January 1941. Houses in Pittsburgh Crucible Steel Company in Midland, Pennsylvania. January 1941. Children in Midland, Pennsylvania. January 1941. Mill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Long stairway in a working class section. January 1941. Little Boy in Freedom, Pennsylvania. January 1941. Scene in West Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Stacks of the Jones and Laughlin Steel Corporation in background. January 1941. The end of the afternoon shift at the Jones and Laughlin Steel Corporation. Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Bonus photo for you, a beautiful retro woman. Charming Marissa Mathis, 1962. Gaynor Goodman photo shoot, 1989. New York, 1911. Longacre Square South. Times Square to you and me, with the Rector and Astor hotels flanking the New York Times building, now almost completely encased in electronic signage and launch pad for the New Year's ball drop. Circa 1900. Harry Houdini, 1874 to 1926, full-length portrait, standing, in chains. New York, circa 1947. Billie Holiday and her dog Mr. at a 52nd Street Jazz Club. June 1940. One spot town along U.S. Highway No. 1, between Washington and Baltimore. New York, circa 1947. Jazz singer Dottie Reed walking on 52nd Street. July 1946. New York. Doris Day at the Aquarium, Jazz Club on 7th Avenue. September 1941. Two of the Gaynor boys walking to school near Fairfield, Vermont. April 1947. New York. Chirp discusses life while getting a massage, is the caption for this revealing photo of the unjustly obscure jazz singer Gloria King. September 1941. Outside a freak show at the State Fair in Rutland, Vermont. September 1939. Son of Tigard Valley homesteader in Randolph County, West Virginia. New York, circa 1948. Jazz singer at the Onyx Club, 52nd Street. July 1954. Doctor's office from the point of view of a woman suffering from schizophrenia. June 1953. Clara Belle takes to the hills. Howdy Doody show character Clara Belle the Clown, actor Nick Nicholson, visiting the Dolan family in Boone County, West Virginia. August 1947. New York. Lou Blum, Jack Crystal, Reaching, and Herbie Hill, Rear, at Milt Gabler's Commodore Record Shop on 42nd Street. December 1940. Lineup of trucks at workers' camp near Naval Air Base, now under construction. Corpus Christi, Texas. August 1941. Scene in farmhouse kitchen near Burlington, Vermont. (1862) White House Landing, Virginia. Federal supply vessels at anchor. December 1940. San Diego, California. 3 boys from Los Angeles who are looking for work. A friend who is already employed told them that they could make $20 a week as laborers. The Beautiful Sophia Loren, 1957. Florida circa 1897. Flagler Memorial Presbyterian Church, St. Augustine. October 1941. Mrs. Melvin Rivers, some of her children and her father-in-law in their new relocation corporation farm to which they have moved just recently, near Orwell, New York. September 1941. Merrymakers at the World's Fair in Tunbridge, Vermont. October 1941. Children of Dan Sampson, who moved out of the Pine Camp expansion area in August, waiting in the family car for the school bus near South Rutland, New York. September 1941. Small town scenes in Vermont. Locomotive passing through Enosburg Falls. December 1941. Christiansted, St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Class in the Christiansted High School. August 1941. Dickie Gaynor, son of FSA dairy farmer near Fairfield, Vermont. September 1941. Tunbridge, Vermont, the main street. May 1941. Intersection of the two main streets of Childersburg, Alabama. New York circa 1888. Street Arabs in sleeping quarters. September 1941. One of the machines that grind wood into pulp at the Missisquoi Corporation paper mill at Sheldon Springs, Vermont. May 1941. Main Street of Childersburg, Alabama. May 1941. Workmen from the nearby DuPont powder plant in a cafe in Childersburg, Alabama. A colorized version of this national photo glass plate. Washington, D.C., circa 1921. National Fruit Company, 11th Street, NW. San Francisco, circa 1930. Marmon Big 8 rumble seat coupe at Golden Gate Park. Portrait of Billie Holiday at the Downbeat Club, New York, CA. February 1947. August 1864. Camp of Chief Ambulance Officer, 9th Army Corps, in front of Petersburg, Virginia. Indianapolis, Indiana, circa 1904. Illinois Street, north from Washington. Samantha Fox poolside photo shoot 1986. Dutchess County, New York, circa 1902. Mount Beacon Casino and Powerhouse, Fishkill on the Hudson, New York. (1956) Edina, Minnesota. Interior garden court with stairway to upper level and Southdale Regional Shopping Center, the first enclosed shopping mall. Detroit, Michigan, circa 1908. Crowd at Belle Isle Park Casino. Mohonk Lake, New York, circa 1902. Sky top from rear of Mohonk Mountain House. April 1941. School children in Franklin, Heard County, Georgia. December 1941. St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Science class at the Christiansted High School. April 1941. The movies are popular in the Negro section of Chicago. Regal Theater and Savoy Ballroom in the South Side neighborhood. Los Angeles, July 1965. Entertainer Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show delivering a monologue. November 1940. Boomtown store near Shasta Dam construction site, Shasta County, California. November 1940. Shopping centers are springing up at the small towns near Shasta Dam site. This one was at Central Valley, California. Bonus photo for you, a beautiful retro woman. The Irresistible Jane Mansfield, 1954. Incredible Gaynor Goodman, 1985. New York, 1933. Midtown Manhattan skyline, Rockefeller Center, and St. Patrick's Cathedral. October 1959. Pilot and auto test driver Betty Skelton at McDonnell Aircraft Corporation, St. Louis. She is undergoing a multitude of physiological tests to assess her fitness to become an astronaut. July 1948. 52nd Street in New York. The street is at its best at night, when the neons start to bloom. It loses some of its carnival atmosphere when daylight dims its gaudy luster. Our astute commenters have identified this as Pittsburgh's Gateway Center, circa 1952. July 1941. Observation deck and airliner on the field seen through the window of the waiting room. Municipal, National, Airport, Washington, D.C. July 1941. An airliner being ready for a takeoff. Municipal Airport, Washington, D.C. July 1941. A Western Union girl. Washington, D.C. Municipal Airport. June 1941. Some of the children of a family who must move out. The Army is taking over the area for maneuver grounds. Caroline County, Virginia. July 1941. an airliner taking on baggage and fuel. Washington, D.C. Municipal, National, Airport. June 1941. In the area being taken over by the Army, Caroline County, Virginia. Most of the customers at this store are now soldiers. November 1940. Street scene in Mystic, Connecticut. A view down East Main Street of the Christopher Morgan House. July 1941. Negro dishwasher. Investment Pharmacy, Washington, D.C. January 15, 1964. Customer buying cigarettes from tobacconist. Circa 1930. Boy in tires swing holding cow on a tether. San Francisco, circa 1931. Essex Super 6 sedan at Golden Gate Park. November 1940. House, late afternoon. Mystic, Connecticut. November 1940. Children of farmers in the town of Ledyard, Connecticut, in one of the one-room schoolhouses. November 1940. After a snowstorm in Norwich, Connecticut. September 1941. Freak show at the State Fair in Rutland, Vermont. September 1941. At the State Fair in Rutland, Vermont. Charming Samantha Fox swimsuit photo shoot, 1990. November 1940. The Bar and Arts Sportsman's Tavern, Colchester, Connecticut. November 1940. Having a beer and arts sportsman's tavern on a rainy day in Colchester, Connecticut. November 1940. In a one-room schoolhouse in Ledyard, Connecticut. The teacher is Miss Holmes. November 1940. The Main Square in Colchester, Connecticut. September 1941. 3 of the Gaynor children on their farm near Fairfield, Vermont. September 1941. Mrs. W. Gaynor canning tomatoes on their farm near Fairfield, Vermont. September 1941. 2 sons of William Gaynor, FSA dairy farmer near Fairfield, Vermont. August 1941. A street corner in Burlington, Vermont. August 1941. General store in Hinesburg, Vermont. May 1941. Main Street of Childersburg, Alabama. September 1941. The Girlies Show at the State Fair in Rutland, Vermont. California, circa 1912. On the Trail. A supposedly fun thing I'll never do again. The prequel. Boston, Massachusetts, circa 1912. Copley Plaza Hotel, Copley Square. Savannah, Georgia, circa 1907. Broaden Street from Bull. (1901). Fishermen at Summit Hills. The Jersey Shore circa 1901. The Boardwalk and Auditorium Pier, Atlantic City. Pamela Green, 1957. October 30th, 1918. Base Hospital No. 7 at Tours, France. American Red Cross chaplain the Reverend F.M. Elliott taking the home addresses of interned German prisoners, so that their families may be notified that they are well. Washington, D.C., 1929. Radio with wire loop antenna. October 1968. Entertainer Jimmy Durante performing nightclub act with showgirls. January 1941. Negro Church and Mill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. New York, 1923. Miss Sylvia B. Fish listening into a radio program. Saginaw, Michigan, circa 1908. Houses on South Wedock Avenue. January 1941. Workers' houses near Pittsburgh Crucible Steel Company in Midland, Pennsylvania. January 1941. Main Street in the steel town of Midland, Pennsylvania. March 1941. Traffic on the main street of Fayetteville, North Carolina at about 5 o'clock, when the workers start coming out at Fort Bragg. The gift unwrapping frenzy passed, and despite his being nearly crowded out of the frame, my father seems to be finding serenity by returning to normal daily routine, i.e. reading in his leather chair. Usually it would be the daily papers, but note the reserved stock of various publications overflowing the magazine rack. Bonus photo for you, a beautiful retro woman. The beautiful and lovely Norma and Sykes, 1965.